All right, there we are. All right, guys. So again, welcome. Look, I know most of you guys. I think I know most of you. Some of y'all are anonymous, and a couple of y'all we just met recently. So let me introduce myself to you real quick. My name is Adrian Terry. I am the Director of Productivity and Head Coach at Thrive Agent Solutions, a coaching program at KW North Gwinnett here in Buford. A brief history: I started my real estate career in 2013. Joined KW, sold two homes that first year, took 8 months to sell two homes. Oh my gosh, it was tough. It was hard. It was what a lot of you are probably feeling right now. However, I showed up every day. I put in the work. I did the things. I made the plans. I worked the plans. And I ended up closing 22 transactions in my first full year in 2014. Repeated that success in 2015, moved into a leadership role in at the KW office in 2016. Moved up to the team leader role, ended up being the team leader running this office here in Buford for about 4.5 years before I stepped out recently because my true passion is helping people grow their businesses. This conversation we're about to have today, I love this conversation. It's something that was had with me at a very early stage in my career, and I thought it brought a lot of focus and it brought a lot of clarity to what I should be doing and how I should be thinking about my business. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and jump in. We're going to go ahead and share the screen. But look, I'm going to share this one last time. If you have not seen this, the screen that you came in through right here on this screen, if you scroll to the bottom, you will see 3 links where you can download materials for today's session. We've got the actual workshop materials. That would be best if you could download and print those out real quick while we get started. And then the net income worksheet is an Excel sheet that will make your life infinitely more simple if you don't want to get a calculator out and do a whole lot of math with us today. So I love this quote from Gary Keller. Gary Keller, the founder of KW. A goal without a plan is just a wish. And Gary always tells it how it is. A goal without a plan is just a wish. And guys, that is 100% correct. So as we get into this conversation, we're going to first start with the mindset of high achievers, the mindset that we need to be in to properly write our goals and to chart our path to achieving those goals. So we're going to get into some myth busting here real quick. We're going to talk about a few things. So the first myth we're going to talk about is we as realtors and actually as human beings, a lot of times we tell ourselves that we can't do something before we even try. It's just not possible. We can't do that. And the truth of the matter is we don't actually know what we're capable of until we actually try. I mean, I'm sure all of us, if we took a few minutes, could probably look back on our lives and think about a time either in business, in our personal lives, relationships, back in school, whatever it was, sports, where we thought something wasn't possible, and then we tried it and we totally surprised ourselves, and not only surprised ourselves, but the most surprising part was probably that it wasn't just possible, but it was actually pretty easy to do and it was pretty simple, but we had talked ourselves out of it because we just thought we couldn't do it. Myth number 2, that won't work in my market. So a lot of times we'll be exposed to what other top producers are doing from different parts of the country. And one of the myths that we hear a lot is that, well, of course that works over there in Texas, but that would never work here. Well, of course that works in California. That would never work in my market. The truth is adjustments might need to be made for your market. But again, you don't actually know what is or is not possible until you try. You got to give it some effort. Telling ourselves that it won't work is definitely not going to work. The third myth, it'll take too much time and effort. Translation, that's too difficult. That's too hard. Guys, this is a tough one. This is where we kind of talk ourselves out of things. This is where we begin to rationalize our lack of success and make excuses for ourselves and say, well, that's just going to take too much time. That's going to be too hard. I'll never be able to achieve that. I'll never be able to do that. So why even bother? And the truth of the matter is, it's what you choose to do with your time that matters. Everybody has the same amount of time. We all have 24 hours in a day. We all have 7 days in a week. High achievers, top performers, they're choosing to use that time in a way that is benefiting them at the highest level. The reality is that the person who makes $5,000 a year in real estate has the same amount of time in a day as the person who makes $500,000 a year in real estate. The difference is what they choose to do with their time and the effort that they choose to put into it. And guys, I'm going to hit you with this one too. There's a harsh truth here that for many, it will actually be difficult because they're simply not willing to do what's needed. Now, if that bothers you a little bit, that's okay. I'm okay with that, because the reality of our business is you have to do certain things with consistency, time over time, to get the results that you desire. And there's a difference between saying, I want to do something, or I am doing something. There's an enormous difference. And in the last 5 years of being in a leadership role, coaching, consulting with literally hundreds and hundreds of agents, I often hear what people want to do. And then when we follow up, I often hear what they're not doing. And that is a huge disconnect. What we want to do, everybody has good intentions. However, what we're choosing to actually do with our time matters. The next myth, this is a big one too. This is where people get a little controlling and a little full of themselves, to be honest. My clients will only work with me. They love me. Only I can do this. Only I can provide this level of service. And if I'm not there with my clients, they are going to be disappointed. They're going to be let down. Here's the reality of it. People don't do business with you because of who you are. They do it because of the standard of service you provide. We're going to get into a conversation about leverage here in a few minutes, and this is going to have a little bit more clarity around it. But look, I'm definitely not arrogant enough to think that people work with me because of me. They work with me because of the standards of service that I provide. They work with me because of the level of knowledge, the value, the contribution that I bring to the process. And the minute that falls behind, they're going to choose to work with somebody else. And for me to be a super high achiever, for me to really go the furthest I can possibly go in any business, I'm going to have to start leveraging and surrounding myself with people that help me to become more successful. Another myth is it will be too risky. It's going to be too expensive. Look, most businesses, let's say you're starting a restaurant. That is risky. That is way, way, way expensive. Getting into real estate is about $1,400 from start to finish, from the day you decide I want to sell real estate to the day the real estate commission hands you a license and you're able to actually sell real estate. From that point forward, I'm sure a lot of you have experienced a ton of phone calls from all these companies who are promising all these great results, and everybody wants to spend your money. And the famous tagline is always, well, Paul, if it'll just get you one more closing this year, it'll pay for itself. Okay, look, don't fall for that. I'm not saying that none of them are any good. I'm saying that we want to follow the truth. And the truth is, when you lead with revenue and you're making strategic investments in your business, you're minimizing your risk and maximizing that return. So lead with revenue straight out of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. We don't want to spend money we're not making. The truth of the matter is, especially in the beginning, there are so many free activities, so many things you can do to build this business. It goes back to the truth a couple minutes ago of what you choose to do with your time is what actually matters here. All right. Having a goal and not hitting a goal is failure. I got to tell you, I have had conversations with agents who they just don't set goals. They refuse to set goals. They don't want goals. And a lot of that is they don't want to disappoint themselves. They don't want to feel like a failure if they don't hit those goals. And then I've had conversations with agents who have set goals so low. And when we talk about that, they're like, well, really, I'd like to make more. However, I don't want to feel bad if I don't hit it. Folks, the reality is, the truth of the matter is, having a goal and not attempting to hit it is the actual failure. Having that goal and just failing to attempt it is the ultimate failure, right? And then there's another harsh truth. Not having a goal to begin with is even worse than failure. In my opinion, it's a business death sentence. If I'm waking up on January 1st, 2022, and I don't have a written goal and I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing exactly at that moment because I've already charted my path, guys, I think it's a death sentence for your business. You're not being purposeful. You're not living with intention. So let's get into the mindset of achievers here. High achievers, they are powered by a big why. Your big why is what drives you guys. It's what makes you get up and fight. We get knocked down by this business all the time. It's what picks you up the next day. You dust yourself off and you get right back to it. When that contract falls apart, when you feel really good because you made 3 really great contacts who said they were going to purchase a home with you in the next 6 months, and one by one things come up in their lives and it makes them choose not to do business with you, it can be pretty defeating. But you get back up because the big why is what powers you. If your big why is not big enough, it's going to be really easy to give up. That's just a very simple concept. And then another thing is you can have a big why for every part of your life. Your work, your wealth, your health, your spiritual existence, all of those things require a big why. All of those things require attention, and all of those parts make up who we are. Who we are, our identity is not 100% based on the income that we produce, the business that we own, or the job that we have. All of those things make up what we are. So big achievers, big why. Also, they have a big why powered by big models. Folks, follow the successful people who came before you. We're not the first people to try to do this real estate thing. We follow the models. Now, I'm not saying we can't tweak the models, and we can definitely do that. And folks, if you know anything about the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, they've got a ton of models, and a lot of those have been updated because times have changed and models have changed. However, follow the models. Don't reinvent the wheel and spend 10 times more time and effort to try to do something that somebody has already done before you. High achievers, they think in possibilities. So they don't use language like that won't work here. They're not negative in that way. They look at these challenges, they look at these things, and they think, how can I make that work for me? They think pretty much anything is possible until proven otherwise. And then we go back to that myth of if you don't try, how will you actually know that that won't work here? I mean, we can make those assumptions, but I think those assumptions are dangerous in business. High achievers think action. They understand that having an idea is great, but implementing and taking action is better. That's a very simple concept. Y'all agree with that? Having an idea is wonderful, but taking that idea, if everything that we talk about today, if you walk away from this and go, man, that was all right, that was pretty good, I got some good stuff out of it, and then you do not complete your business plan and you do not complete your goals and you don't follow any of the things that we talked about, then you're just kind of hanging out for a couple hours, wasting your time. High achievers, they think without fear. What's the worst that can happen here? What's the worst? It doesn't work. Folks, we are not brain surgeons, right? It's not a life or death scenario here. Now, I know there's a lot of money at stake, and I'm not dismissing that at all. However, understand that what's the worst that can happen in your business? I was talking to an investor last year who flips a lot of homes. He does a ton of that. And I wanted to get into home flipping. And I'll be honest with you, I had some fear around that. I had some fear of losing money. And after many years of flipping homes, he said there's only been a couple instances where he's lost up to $5,000. He said, but look, man, if $5,000 is going to break the bank, you shouldn't be doing it anyway. So be more, be strategic about your investment. But the reality is, what's the fear about? What are we afraid of? Go out there and give it a try. You never know what you can achieve. High achievers think progress, not perfection. They develop the seemingly small habits that compound into big results. Every morning they ask, how can I be better today than I was yesterday? I've met a lot of agents over the years who have described themselves as perfectionists. They describe themselves as perfectionists, especially when it comes to their of all things, their contracts, their paperwork, things of that nature. It's really bizarre to me. I want someone else to take care of that for me. I will pay a price to let you take care of my paperwork for me all day long, because I'm sure you're really good at it, and that's awesome. And I don't want to do it. But the reality is, look, I want to be 1% better today than I was yesterday. I want to wake up today and think, how can I be a little bit better? Because all of that compounds into way, way bigger results down the road. High achievers also think higher standards. So we talked a little bit earlier about leverage. I mentioned leverage. As high achievers get busier, they develop the leverage around them in order to maintain the high standards. Nobody succeeds alone. Nobody. Here's the reality. You can only do so much, and you will absolutely hit a ceiling of achievement if you continue trying to do everything by yourself. Now, some of y'all, I know we got a variation of people in this group. I see some of y'all that are pretty much brand new to the business, have not yet sold anything. Some of y'all have done a few transactions, and we've got a few higher top producers in the room as well. So this really, I'm talking all three levels here. However, when we have the leverage conversation, I'm definitely talking to the higher producers. If you guys want to break through and improve your standards or maintain your standards, you've got to have people around you. You've got to be able to let go. I recently watched this really great video on TikTok. Don't judge me. I love TikTok. But I watched this really great video, and this guy was talking about Michael Jordan. He said, I bet you Michael Jordan would do such a great job cutting his own lawn. He said everything Michael Jordan does, he does at the highest level. And I bet you he would cut a lawn like nobody's business. He said, but is that really the best use of Michael Jordan's time? Or would he be better served to pay a kid $50 to cut the lawn while he goes and shoots more baskets? I mean, the obvious answer in that scenario is Michael Jordan should be shooting more baskets. Or I guess we can relate it to LeBron James these days, in case some of y'all don't know MJ, who is, by the way, the greatest of all time. And yeah, thank you. Got a couple nods. So LeBron James, yes, get out there, shoot more baskets, man. Get better at what you do, make that money, and leverage that piece off to somebody else. Are they going to do it 100% like you would have done it? Probably not. But if you do your job of hiring properly and instilling the standards in these people that you want to see, they'll be fine. They'll do a great job, and you make adjustments along the way. So, all right. Also, they think service. So listen, ours is a service-based business. We are not actually selling anything. Are you responsive? Are you available? Are you knowledgeable? Are you thinking strategically for your clients and helping them win? This is a really big deal. We are service-based. I cannot call Julie and convince her to sell her house if she doesn't want to move. If she has no intention of moving, no real reason for it, I mean, I don't care how good of a salesman you are, you're never going to talk me out of my house. So the reality is I have to be in relationship with you. I have to be in contact with you until the opportunity for me to sell that house comes up. And then you need to provide a service, a really, really great service, so that I can continue to feel good about using you in the future. And finally, high achievers, they think competitively and strategically. So look, they make the plan, they work the plan, and they adjust as needed. High achievers understand the rules of the game, and they have strategies on how they will win. Would you guys agree that the game of real estate has a lot of rules? We've got contract rules, we've got real estate commission rules, we've got laws, we've got things that we have to abide by. We've got things that they taught us in pre-license school way back when. Do any of those things actually help us win at the game of real estate? They don't. They do not help you win. What helps you win is being strategic. You got to liken it to a game of Monopoly. You understand the rules of Monopoly, right? Anybody here played Monopoly before? Raise your hand. You guys have played Monopoly. There is a strategy to Monopoly. You buy all the little greenhouses, you buy the little red hotels, and then you win. You take everyone's money, right? There's a strategy. If all you do is roll the dice and not think about the strategy of that game, somebody else in that game is going to win. The real estate game requires strategy. It requires you to think competitively, because that's what's happening out there. Now, we cooperate and we teach and we help each other and we share knowledge and all of those great and wonderful things. And we want to think strategically to advance our position in the game of real estate. All right, so let's talk about something called going from E to P. That's going from entrepreneurial to purposeful. Entrepreneurial says we just chat up whoever happens to cross our path. And if real estate happens to come up, great. And if it doesn't, oh, well, I'm sure to get a deal one of these days. The purposeful agent knows exactly who you want to talk to. You block time on your calendar to communicate with these people. You're prepared to have great conversations because you've studied the market. You understand what's happening out there. And it leads to you providing value in exchange for them helping you grow your business by choosing to do business with you or referring you out. We bring this up because, folks, are we entrepreneurs? Is that what we're that's kind of what we are, right? We are business owners. We don't work for anybody. There's no boss. There's no time clock. There's no set standards for you to do anything. You can literally have a license and sell 0 homes from now until eternity. And pretty much nobody's ever going to ask you to leave as long as you pay your monthly bill at whatever brokerage you choose to be at. So the reality is we have to wake up every single morning on purpose. We have to have that plan. We have to work that plan. We have to be purposeful. I know a lot of agents who, look, I'm just going to say it, in this market, a lot of people are getting lucky. This is a great market that is delivering. And honestly, folks, it's been this way for years. Now, it's super intense today because of all the things that have happened with COVID. It's super intense today because prices have skyrocketed. Um, but I've seen a lot of, in my opinion, misplaced arrogance. I've seen agents who have sold, a number of homes in 2019. Let's say they sold 7 homes in 2019. And then they sold 7 homes in 2020, and then they sold 6 homes in 2021 so far. But every single year, their income has gone up. Well, of course it has. The price of real estate has gone up tremendously in the last 3 years. So you could sell the same amount of homes, and the average price per sale has gone up $100,000. And all of a sudden, you look like some kind of hero where you made all this extra money. And folks, like when we get into this goal setting conversation, I like to focus on the unit count, because whatever the market is considered good, bad, ugly, indifferent, buyer market, seller market, if you know how to move units, the money always follows. 100% always follows. But there's a lot of misplaced arrogance out there because there's a lot of money floating around. A lot of people selling a few homes and making a lot off of them and feeling like they've done something to set their future up. And in my opinion, they're being entrepreneurial. They're waking up every day and they're kind of bumping into some things and they're working some things. And look, I'm not saying they're not working hard. I'm saying that right now there's such an incredible opportunity, in my opinion, to take advantage of what is undoubtedly in this area the best market we've ever seen. I mean, prices that are at an all-time high, buyer demand is at an all-time high, interest rates are still relatively low. I mean, it's like a perfect storm for us, guys. Right now is such an amazing opportunity. So waking up, being purposeful, I think is an incredible way to live your life. All right, so the goal setting conversation. So when we talk about goals, obviously we are here today talking about business goals. We're going to talk about financial goals, unit goals, GCI, all of those things. However, the reality of life is that we are not just what we do. So I do want us to have a quick conversation of all the different parts that make us up, because the process we're going to go through here to actually map out our goals and develop a plan around achieving them, I think can be applied to all these different parts of our lives. So yes, professional, we're going to talk today about that. We're going to talk about selling homes, talking about making contacts, building our businesses, all of those things. The financial aspect, that is your wealth building. I want you guys to think about your future. Think about what is your legacy, your financial legacy. If you have children, what does that look like for them? Creating generational wealth. Think about your freedom number, your freedom date. Your freedom number is that amount of money in the bank, investments producing passive income that you no longer have to work for, that is creating an opportunity for you to choose literally every single day what you want to do, right? For me, I have a freedom date. I don't want to work past the age of 60, right? I'm 42. That gives me 18 years. That's a long time. I would like to achieve it sooner, but I'm keeping it real, right? 60, I think, is a good age. I also have a number, and I would like my investments and my properties and the things that I own to produce a $20,000 a month net income for me as passive income. So these are things I want you to think about, and we're going to have to unlimit our beliefs a little bit, because again, we don't know what's possible. We're at the beginning of this journey for a lot of us, and a lot of us have not really given this a lot of thought. So definitely get into that. Relationships, when's the last time you were on purpose with your relationships with your spouse, your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, girlfriend, your siblings, your parents, your children? A lot of times we get so busy and wrapped up in life that we end up coexisting with these people, and that's okay, and we're nice enough to each other and all those things, but all of these things can be so much better, and life can be so much more fulfilling. Spiritual, personal development, that one is super easy to let go of if we're not focused on it and thinking about it. Physical health, that's a big one too. Spend time on the health now or spend time in the doctor's office later. We get to choose, right? And then happiness and fun. I watch my kids play, and I watch them kind of just kind of existing and enjoying life, and they find joy in like the simplest things. And I look at that and go, what do I do for myself? What do I do for myself to fulfill my happiness and my fun? What are the vacations? What are the places I want to visit? What are the places I want to go? What do I want to do? And if, again, we're not focused on these things, it's super easy for an entire year to go by and to look back and feel like I didn't do anything for myself that brought joy and happiness into my life. So let's get into the professional conversation. So this worksheet here, and this is the one that you have in your materials, that if you've not downloaded the Excel sheet, we're about to do this by hand. And I would advise you, again, get your worksheet out. So let me back this up just a little bit before we get into this, because I do need to do something with you. So before we get into that sheet, I want to take just a couple of minutes. So I'm going to pause, and I'm going to mute myself, and everybody's already muted. Some of you may already have a professional goal. You may already have a unit count. You may already have a financial goal of how much money you want to make in 2022. All of that might be super on hand for you. And if it's not, I want to take a couple minutes and I want you to think about that, because we need this number moving into the next exercise. So for some of y'all, that might be $50,000 in net income. I like to work with net income because that's the income I get to spend. That's the income I get to save after I've paid my taxes, after I've paid my brokerage fees, after I've paid all the things that I need to pay for. So I would tell y'all, take a couple minutes, think about that number. Think about your monthly budget. Think about your annual budget. What do you need to survive every month? Is it $5,000? Is it $10,000? What's your mortgage, your car payments, your gas, your food, the things you do with the family? What are all those things? Once you get that number worked out, I want you to think about the extras. Do you want to buy a car and pay cash for it next year? Do you want to set up an IRA? Do you want to set up a 401k? Do you want to set up a college fund for the kids? Do you want to see a certain amount of money in the bank as a savings, as a nest egg? Do you want to buy your first income property? Do you want to get into investment properties, investing in the stock market, maybe in crypto? I don't know anything about crypto. I'm getting into it though, and it sounds kind of fun. But like, think about that number. What is that number for you? Because we're going to need that on an annualized basis here in the next couple minutes. So let's take 2 minutes, jot some things down, come up with a number. I'm going to hit pause here for just a second. That's awesome. All right, so let's use Stephanie, you said 300,000, so we're going to use your number. We're going to go through this because I want to see how this shakes out for everybody. Okay, so in that top line, if you guys have that pulled up, go ahead and enter your number, and this is your net commission income. So for Stephanie, that would be $300,000 net income goal. So that's a great number. That's a really great big number. Whatever your number is fine. That's the number we're using for this one, right? Let's see here. All right. So the next number here is your cost of sales. Now, your cost of sales is defined as something that happens when something that's triggered by a sale. So it's not a marketing expense. It's not a postcard campaign. It's like FMLS fees. It's a broker split. If you're at a broker, I know some of y'all are at different brokerages and you have different rates, different fees. Some of you do transaction fees. Some of you do percentages. I'm going to use the KW percentages overwhelmingly in this room, our KW agents. And for us, there's an $18,000 cap that's paid out. So immediately you have an $18,000 cap. So on top of that, we're going to estimate some FMLS fees, because FMLS fees are cost of sales as well, correct? It's a fee that's triggered when you sell a home. So to sell this many homes, $300,000, I'm just ballparking it here without zero math. I'm just going to say it's another $12,000 in FMLS fees. Okay. So we're going to call this number $30,000 for cost of sales. That's your brokerage fee, your FMLS fees for the year. We can go back and do the actual math on those FMLS fees once we see the actual volume number as it shakes out here. Yearly operating expenses. Now, this number is going to vary greatly. And I'm not going to put you on the spot, Stephanie. However, if you know your numbers and you'd like to tell us what your operating expenses, what you estimate they would be to earn a $300,000 income, that'd be great. What I will tell you is a lot of people, I've met a lot of agents who don't track their business. They don't have a P&L that they operate with monthly. And if you have not yet done that, that's okay. We can start doing that after today. I would strongly, strongly advise you to take time every single week, every single month, and sit down with your money and understand where it's going. It's very interesting how many agents do what we call ATM accounting, where if there's money in the ATM, then we're doing fine. And and the thing about that, guys, is that could be a very scary proposition come tax season, because all of a sudden you sit down with a CPA and look, I'm just going to tell you full transparency. The first couple of years I was in business, I did that type of accounting. And in April, when I sat down to do my taxes and I started going through all my receipts and all my credit card statements, I was blown away at how much money I had actually spent. But when you're having those months where 10, 15, 20 grand is rolling in, it's really easy to swipe that credit card. It's really easy to not think about, well, sure, I'll add another lead source. I mean, it's only $1,000 a month, right? I mean, look, I made $12,000 this month. Okay, but you made 12 grand and you should have put 3 or 4 of that away for taxes. You made 12 grand, but you paid your broker. You made 12 grand, but you had car wear and tear, maintenance, gas, food for client events, all the different things add up. But in that moment, the credit card was what was swiping while money was accumulating in that bank account. And then at the end of that scenario, when we had to reconcile those, it was really disturbing at how much money I actually did not make. So I would tell y'all, understand your numbers, understand your budget. So yearly operating expenses, I'm going to ballpark it and say that for a business to earn $300,000 in net income, I'm going to guess that you're probably spending, you probably need to have some, at the very least, a contract to close transaction coordinator service in your bullpen. You probably should have some marketing assistants. I'm going to guess you're spending about $3,000 to $4,000 a month. So I'm going to go ahead and estimate that on the high end. We're going to call it $4,000 a month and say that you're spending $48,000 a year to net that type of income. Because we're talking a lot of marketing expenses, right? We're talking about a lot of postcards, a lot of different things that we're doing with our client base. And I don't want to underestimate. So I'll put it at $48,000. All right. So it does the math automatically for you. $90,000 you need to put aside for taxes. So when we add all of that up, we end up at $468,000 in gross commission income. So $468,000 gross commission income, you walk away with $300,000 of net income. All right, so $468,000 total GCI, your projected average sale price. Y'all throw out, what do you think an average sale price is? Most of us are here in Gwinnett County. We're doing business in Gwinnett County. I can tell you what it is for my office, but maybe some of y'all that have had some experience, what is your personal one?
$350.
$350. Tim, what are you averaging these days? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry, I meant to ask on the average price for a home you're asking.
Yes, sir.
Let's say close to 4.
Okay. And I'd say both of y'all are right there in that ballpark. For our office, we'll probably close out close to 2,000 transactions this year. And probably around 375 to 380. It's definitely crept up. It's so funny, man. When I started in real estate in 2013, our average was 186,000 here in this office. And good for you guys, man. Good for you guys, making twice as much money as I did 8 years ago for the same transaction. I love it. All right, so let's call this average sale price $375,000. We'll split the difference between both of y'all. All right, so the next line here, what it does, the math for us is 93.75. That is a 2.5% average commission rate. We all want to get 3%. I get that. However, I just got a message from one of my agents the other day who let me know that she spent 4 hours at a Century Communities model home, putting in an offer with her client on a brand new home, and they're only paying her 2% commission on a co-op in that community. So We know that that's happening with builders. We know that that's happening with a lot of agents who are discounting their services and passing the savings along to the co-op on the other end. So the next piece of math that it does is it tells us on line 9 that we now need 50 closed units in order to achieve a net income of $300,000. And then it does the math for us and says we need to be at $18.7 million in sales to get that $468,000 gross commission income. Okay. Your numbers may look different if you are obviously less than the $300,000 mark. So the next line here that we're going to fill out, line J, this is percentage of business listings versus buyers. I would tell you all that a balanced business is recommended for individual agents as 50-50. Anybody in here would rather have like 80% sellers and 20% buyers these days? Nobody? Maybe we got one. We got two people. I get you. Look, I would do that. Right now, I would be pushing extra hard for listings. Listings are good as gold, money in the bank. If I price it right, if I get great photos done, I know I'm going to sell this thing. And I might even pick up more buyers from it. So for me, I'd rather see a 60% split on sellers versus buyers. That's just how I would like to do it. We'll leave it at 50-50 just for the sake of argument though, because a lot of times your sellers are also buyers. So we fill out that yellow spot, 50%. And then here's what it tells us. Obviously we know 50% of 50 is 25. So listings closed, we have to close 25 listings over the course of the next 12 months in order for us to achieve this goal. Now it takes it a little step further here and it tells us about listings taken on this line. And what this line says is that we actually have to take, and in fact, that formula is wrong. It's at 75%. And I meant that to be 80%. So we'll leave it at 75. So what it's saying is that 25% of your listings, for whatever reason, will not close. They were either overpriced, they were super undesirable for the price, sellers changed their mind, something happened. But if I get 10 listings, 2.5 will not close. So it's telling me that I need to actually take 34 listings in order to close 25 of them over the course of the next 12 months. I'm going to tell you in this market, that formula is completely incorrect. And I probably would change that to probably like 85%. And I would tell you that I would take 30 listings and expect to close 25 of them, right? So we dig a little bit deeper and it goes to line M here, listing appointments. So now what it's telling us is for us to get 30 listings, we have to go on 38 actual appointments. So I need 38 appointments with listings. I got to get to 38 kitchen tables in the next 12 months. And I've got to secure 30 of those as my listings so I can sell 25 of them. We dig a little bit deeper here and then it goes on into the buyer territory. So same kind of math, 25 buyers, 30, I think 75% closing on buyers these days is accurate because a lot of buyers will choose not to do business for one reason or another, or they will completely fall apart through the process and just go away for a while because the market is kind of brutal for them right now. So same type of math, 34 buyers, 25 of them I expect to actually close. Now I need to go on 43 buyer appointments though. So I've got to set up 43 buyer appointments in order to make this happen. We dig a little bit deeper here and we go and it breaks it down per week. So what this is saying is that for a 48 work week year on an annual basis where you get 4 weeks off for holidays, vacations, whatever that is, you need to go on 1.69 appointments per week. So we'll round that up and we'll call it 2 appointments. So when you wake up every single Monday morning to achieve a level of $300,000, your mission, your goal is to go on 2 appointments this week. Does anybody in here think 2 appointments a week is unachievable? Does anybody think it's easy? No, it's definitely not. It's not easy. It's not easy. By any stretch of the imagination, it's not easy. However, I always feel like when we break things down at this level and we go, okay, so you're telling me I can make $300,000, which I don't know the statistics on this, but I can probably pretty safely say that $300,000 of net income places you way, way, way at the top of the pyramid in American society. We're talking like top 5% of earners, right? Now, top 1%, that's a whole different category. but $300,000 a year is a lifestyle that the overwhelming majority of Americans do not realize in their lifetime. $300,000 provides a ton of opportunity, right? Now, some of y'all have $100,000 goal. That's a great thing to do too. Tim, you got $200,000. That provides a lifestyle that you have charted for yourself. And as you grow, the business can grow as well. And we can move up to these levels if we choose to. All right. So the next line here that we get into, this is your relationships, your database. So I'm a huge believer that doing business by referral, working out of my database is the best way to do it. Does anybody in here disagree with that? Does anybody in here prefer to go out and knock on doors, cold call for sell by owners and expireds, spend thousands of dollars on Zillow ads, spend thousands of dollars on Google? Anybody in here want to do that? Or do they want to work with people who know you, like you, and trust you? I mean, I think it's an obvious answer. I don't see anybody disagreeing. So what this is saying is that for you to specifically make this type of income out of your database has to have 1,000 people in it. Now, this is 1,000 people who know you and assumingly like you and trust you. This isn't 1,000 people that if I call them and said, hey, do you know Brittany? And they went, who? And then I have to sit there for 5 minutes and remind them of how they know you. I don't count that as one of your 1,000. I count it as, hey, do you know Paul Summers? Oh, of course I know Paul. Yeah, what's he up to? Does he need something? Is he okay? Like, I count that as a contact as part of my 1,000. Y'all get that? Okay. We dig a little bit deeper here and we go into marketing. We go into your haven't met database. So let's say you're starting from scratch and you know nobody and you have nobody in your database. What this is saying is that there's a 2% conversion rate on average with people you've not yet met. So you go into the world, you meet strangers, and it's saying over the next 12 months, you've got to make 2,500 contacts for this to be a thing that you do, right? To achieve. When we divide that out by 240 work days a year, guys, it comes out to 10 contacts a day. So now we break this down a little bit further. Let's say we're at the beginning of this process. Let's say you've been in this business for a couple of years already, and you've already had some success with it, but you haven't had this level of success and you want to achieve this level of success. What it's saying is that you have to, every single day, your mission now becomes, I got to make 10 contacts. I've got to have 10 conversations with people. I've got to build my database to 2,500 people that I am connecting with on an annual basis. If I can wake up today and I can make 10 contacts, I will not see the results of that immediately. I won't make 300 grand next month. However, if I wake up and I put in the effort and I'm purposeful and I build my plan around doing these things, I fully believe that I can achieve this level. Let me run this back. I want to run 200 grand real quick. I know, Tim, I know you're not with KW, so your number's probably lower than that $30,000 right there. And I do not think you spend $48,000 a year on your marketing stuff. But I am curious, do you know your operating expenses or a ballpark of them?
It's a good question. I keep a spreadsheet of it. I haven't really looked exactly. I mean, if you give me a second, I can give you an exact number here.
Yeah. I mean, I would guess that you'd be around $2 grand a month to make $200,000 when it comes down to all the marketing, all the stuff that one might do.
Yeah, I haven't updated the last 2 months, but right now I'm sitting at it's like 20 grand in expenses for the year.
So about 24 grand.
When so.
I promise, man. I promise I'm not stalking you.
I guess I'm accounting for things like, cell phone bill, internet. I don't know if that's added into the output.
Yeah, I absolutely would count those things.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so.
Yeah. There are these things that these CPAs think about and that they do that I would never think about. And they're not doing things illegally by any means because they have a business to protect as well. Their name is all over that tax return as the person who prepared it. However, you know what I mean? Like, we just don't think of those things. So
is that 24 grand sound like a good number for that kind of?
I think it does. I do. Okay. I think $2,000 a month is pretty average. You know, I would probably want to look at what is the amount of marketing that you're doing out of that and what is the return on investment. So we want to hold our dollars accountable. We want our money to work for us. So I would want to see what are the lead generation tools and resources and things that you're paying for, and how much money is it actually producing. So when we talk about working out of a database, it can be relatively low cost. However, there will be some cost associated with it because there are mailers and pop buys and client events and different things that people do. Where we start to see things climb is when we start to purchase leads, when we start to buy leads. And something that I didn't include in this part right here, the cost of sale, you know, we've got to think about, I know Zillow has gone to the percentage model, right? For a lot of agents where they'll give you a referral, but you're going to pay them 35 or 40%. I know Dave Ramsey has a referral network out there that charges 40+%. I know OpCity, every brokerage in this area is hooked up with OpCity, and they are doing 35 to 45% referrals fees for those things. That's a cost of sale. If OpCity gave me a lead and I gave them $4,000 out of my $10,000, man, that's a cost of sale, right? That's money unrealized. So at the end of the year, I have to look at that and be okay with the idea of, would I have gotten that lead on my own without OpCity? Would I have been able to get more leads that amounted to more income in my pocket if I wasn't spending my time with OpCity? Because there's an opportunity cost to every single thing that we do. And so if you give me a referral and I pay you $4,000, well, yes, conventional thinking says, hey, you know what? I never would have found that person. And that's okay. You know, that, are you guys still with me? My computer just said I was signed out because I signed in on another device. I am so scared right now that I'm about to lose this connection.
You're good.
I can still hear you, still
Okay.
see it.
Wow, that was like really weird. All right. So so yes, we have to look at that at the end of the year and be okay with what we're getting ourselves into, and to understand that if I'm going to take leads from a place like OpCity, would I have gotten that lead? Well, look, if that lead came from out of state, it would have been really, really, really unlikely that they would have found you, right? They found OpCity through realtor.com or whatever system they found them through. However, the amount of time that I then spend with that lead to, let's say, make $5,000, could I have spent that amount of time maybe finding 3 more leads that were all mine, and I could have made $25,000? So there's an opportunity cost associated that a lot of times we don't really consider or think about when we're taking these type of systems on, right? They can be bonuses. And I've said from the beginning, I was the team leader here when we brought OpCity into my office, and I understood the game. I understood it from the very beginning, and I was very upfront with our agents that I don't think you should base your business on these type of services. This is what I think of as gravy on my mashed potatoes, right? I take a lead from them every now and then. I work it, I make a few $1,000, enjoy it for what it is. However, I can't put too much stock into it. I'll be working way too hard for not enough money if that's the case. So if we run through these numbers real quick, it would look that to do the $200,000, we would get down here to 1.13 appointments per week. So just around 1 appointment a week for 48 weeks. So now we've almost cut our requirement in half by dropping that $100,000, right? We've got 680 people we have to have in that database. If we went, and let's do this real quick on the $100,000 group here, and we said, well, this definitely would be lower here. And then you guys are probably not spending $24,000 a year to make that kind of money. So we alter those numbers a little bit, and now we end up at less than 1 appointment a week. So we're talking about 1 appointment probably every 8 or 9 days, right? We're talking every 4 weeks, 2 to 3 appointments. So what other industry, what other business can we get into where our goal is to lock down 1 appointment every 10 days and make $100,000 in net income? I don't know of any. We're talking 19 closed units, guys, to make
Nothing legal, at least.
What's that?
Nothing legal, at least.
That's right. Thank you. Like no Breaking Bad scenarios here. So we're talking 19 transactions to earn $100,000 net income. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Look, that first year in 2014, when I crossed over 22 transactions, I was having a conversation with my cousin at that, a few months into the next year in 2015. He was asking me about real estate. And I said, man, it's kind of weird. Like 22 transactions, I felt like I was working part-time. And there's no arrogance around that. Y'all got to understand, I came out of the restaurant industry where I was working 60 hours a week like a dog, beat up, tired, on my feet, cut, burnt, yelled at by customers over $9 cheeseburgers at Chili's. Like that to me was work. When I got into real estate and somebody said, you can make 100 grand doing this, I was like, come on, man, this can't be real. Like, this can't be real. So I just went after it. And honestly, like, I took days and days off. I spent days at the pool with the kids and my wife that summer. Heck, I didn't even work for the whole month of November and December in 2014. I did zero work. I had zero closings because my second child was born. And I just decided I wasn't going to work. And I still was able to sell 22 transactions in 10 months and felt like I was doing this part-time. That's not anything about me being great. It's about using my time that I allowed myself in a way that mattered the most to me. That was being focused. That was doing these type of exercises and understanding the rules and then being strategic and competitive and going after it. That's all that was. Do you guys have any questions around this before we move on to the next part? We're good? We're all good. All right. So let me minimize this again. You guys should be able to download this sheet and you can go in and you can mess with it. If you're an Excel person and you know how to manipulate formulas, have at it. You have your own copy of it. If you mess up the formulas and you don't know how to fix them, just go back. I've actually got a link I'll put in the website. Let me put this link in here real quick. I went ahead and I put this, it's in the chat box. So I put all of these forms on my website so you guys can go back anytime and download them if by chance this link gets broken here today. All right, you guys back on the white page here with the red book? We're good, perfect. Right, here we go. All right, so this is something that I did, unmet breakdown, GCI. So 4 contacts a day, 5 days a week is 20 contacts a week. 20 contacts a week times 48 weeks, 960 contacts a year. 960 contacts a year times a 2% unmet conversion rate, 19 transactions per year. 19 transactions is 8,000. Well, I actually did a little bit lower. So 87.50 on gross commission, $166,250 per year in GCI. That GCI divided by 240 work days a year is $692.71. Here's a question I have that's very, very serious. If I said to you, now some of y'all, we would need to double this because your income goals are double or triple. But if I said to you, I've got $692.71 in cash and it's sitting on my table in my office right now, and all you have to do to come pick this up is go into the world today, right now, whenever, and make 4 contacts. Find 4 people you've never spoken with about real estate. Get their name, their phone number, their email address. If you can, also get a home address. That would be awesome. And make sure you ask them if they're thinking of buying or selling real estate or investing, or if they know somebody who is. Once you make those 4 contacts and you write all that information down, bring it to my office and I will hand you $692.71. My guess is that most people would be here within an hour with their contacts written down, palms up, ready to receive their $692. Is that a fair assumption? Is it a fair assumption that some of y'all would run into, some of y'all would go out into the line at Starbucks and harass people in their cars? You'd walk the Target, you'd go into Target, and just the first person you see, you'd say, hey, I need to talk to you real quick. My name's Adrian and I'm a real estate agent. Here's my card. Have you ever thought of buying or selling real estate? By the way, can I get your card? Do you have a card? Can I get your number? Because look, there's $700 waiting for me. I need to get this information and I need to run it back to this office so that guy can give me my $700. The motivation is real when the gratification is instant. And that's a thing that we live with daily. We want instant gratification. I don't want to do the work and not be paid for it. It doesn't feel good. And the reality of our industry and our business is we've got to put that time in. We've got to build the systems. We've got to work the plan. And we have to be okay with some days feeling exhausted and defeated. And then again, digging into that big why, waking up the next day and starting all over again. It's just part of who we are in this business. So let's get into the business planning conversation. All right. So I like to use what it's called the 135 business plan. It is a one-page business plan. So you guys have your number, which is your net income goal. For a lot of you, that will be your one main objective. That will be your one big goal. Here's what I'll tell you. For me, I want to go back to the number of homes, the number of units, whether that's 19 units to make $100,000 net, or for Stephanie, that was 50 units to make $300,000 net. My preference is that we always go after the units because the units always bring the money. So on this one line, we would put that one main objective. The way that these plans are built is we've got one big goal, then we've got 3 priorities, and everything flows upward. These 3 priorities, we have to look at them as if they are 3 miniature goals, that once these miniature goals are achieved, they contribute to the overall achievement of the main objective. These priorities, these miniature goals, they have to be written in a way that if I did 2 out of the 3, I got a pretty good chance of still hitting my main objective. If I do 3 out of 3, it's a no-brainer. The main objective happens. If I totally nail all 3, I'm going to nail the main objective. If I get 2, I've got a pretty good chance. If I nail just one of these priorities, I still have some chance of hitting that main objective, right? So we've got to dig a little deep into this situation. Then for each of these miniature goals, for each of these priorities, we've got to have 5 activities that will make each of those priorities happen. So the priorities and the main objective is the goal. The activities are the buttons you push, the levers you pull that make the goal happen. So a common trap that people fall into here when they start to look at these activities is they will have this natural, for whatever reason, this inclination to list more goals in the activity pile. And it'll be like 5 activities. Well, generate more leads. Okay, well, that's a really great goal. And maybe that needs to be one of your priorities, lead generation. And specifically, how many leads, how many contacts, right? Lead generation is a great goal to have, but it's not an activity in and of itself. When we talk about lead generation, which I highly recommend should be one of your priorities, we then have to backfill that with all of the activities that we're going to do on a monthly, weekly, or monthly and weekly basis, right? Do y'all understand the concept of this? Yes, perfect. All right, so this is what I like to call my starter kit. So one main objective, I've done this hundreds of times with agents, and I've seen a lot of these variations. What we're going to go through here is by no means the end all, and it doesn't have to be something off of this list. If you've got something that you want to shoot for, or you've got a different idea, I'd love to hear it. I'll add it to the list of potentials. This sheet is designed to get the juices flowing, to kind of get you guys thinking in the right direction. So one main objective, I told y'all my preference, units sold. Some people like to go after volume, others go after gross commission income, others go after profit earned. Whatever your personal preference is, go for it. Your priorities. I do like to see listings taken and sold, buyers taken and sold, building databases, training education, improving my social media presence. That's a big one right now. Adding X amount of people to my database on a weekly basis. My big ones, leads generated through prospecting and leads generated through marketing. I think that, if you go back to the Red Book, to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, the three pillars, the leads, listings, and leverage. For me, it's leads, and leverage. I need leads. If I want my business to grow, I need leads. My success, your success is in direct proportion to the amount of people who think of you when they think of real estate. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. The amount of people who think of you when they think of real estate will determine your long-term success in this business. So generating more leads and then putting them into the proper systems and working them. We'll talk about that in just a second. And then leverage. My gosh, I never knew how big a fan I was of leverage until I was standing on my back deck a few months ago, grilling some food for my family. And there was a guy in my backyard cutting my lawn. Folks, that's leverage, right? Yes, I was paying that person $50 to cut the lawn and take care of the yard, but that $50 bought me back a couple hours with my family. So when we talk about leverage, it's not always about somebody doing my paperwork. It's not always about somebody showing homes for me. Sometimes it's about somebody cleaning my home. Sometimes it's about somebody doing work around the house that I don't want to do because I'm buying back that time. So, and then we move into the activities. So this is, again, not the end all. Completing a database, a high functioning 36 touch plan, a high functioning smart plans, past clients, sphere of influence, events, pop by, circle prospecting. I mean, these are a lot of your usual suspects here, right? Circle prospecting, open houses, FSBOs, expires, door knocking, store knocking, festival booths, postcard farming, social media paid ads, organic activity, YouTube channel, go nuts on TikTok. Y'all, when TikTok first started, I downloaded it and it was gone off my phone in 2 days. I thought, this is the dumbest thing in the world. A bunch of 14-year-old kids doing weirdo dances. That's all that it was. And then 6 months later, somebody said, hey, you really ought to look at this for business purposes. And I turned it back on, and all of a sudden, I'm getting business tips. I'm getting life tips from people on TikTok. It blew my mind. And then you start to see the amount of content that these people are producing and followers that they have and influence that they gain. Man, it's a powerful, powerful format. So again, you guys have a copy of this. It's all built into your worksheet system that you downloaded today. I would love, and I'll just tell y'all, for those of y'all that are here, I'd love you to shoot me a copy of your 135 business plan when it's completed, because I assume that you intend to complete that today after this session and that you intend to have that locked in for 2022. I want to see a copy of that. Even if you're not with KW, there's a few of you in the room. I want to see a copy of that. And I'm open to having a phone discussion or a Zoom meeting where we can kind of talk through some of those concepts, some of those ideas and how you've structured that. I'm totally open to that. Yeah, I won't twist your arm. I won't make you join KW, okay? We're all good, I promise. All right, any questions about this piece? Any questions, any comments, anything you guys want to clarify? I'm either doing such a great job or nobody knows what's happening today. That's okay. No worries. I'm good either way. All right. So in your packet as well, you've got my example. So when I put this together, I put myself in the mindset last summer at mid-year of, if I was going to get back into real estate sales, what would that look like for me? So that's what that example is. I put together 30 transactions, 270,000 GCI. My first priority, my first miniature goal is high-level lead generation through prospecting. That's going after it, completing my database, getting everybody on a proper touch plan. Do the database 2, the DTD2. That's a concept that you hear thrown around a lot here at KW, but I like to change it to do the database 4. So that's 4 conversations a day, 4 text messages a day, and 4 handwritten notes a day to people in my database. Once I get through the entire database, rinse and repeat, start the process all over. But every single quarter, I want to do that with the people in my database. I want to be top of mind. It's okay if I call Tim today and all we do is have a conversation and I'm checking in on him. How you doing, man? How's life? How's the wife? How's the kids? How's the house? How's the neighborhood? And Tim knows I'm in real estate. It's okay. I don't have to shove real estate down his throat. He knows I'm in real estate. And what do most people always ask you when they know you're in real estate? Hey, how's the market? Awesome. Man, the market is crazy good right now. Why do you ask? Are you thinking of investing? We got a lot of people in my database right now who are looking at investments. Airbnbs are blowing up. They're everywhere. Have you thought about an Airbnb? Have you thought about these things? Have you considered rental income properties? What about flipping? I know it's hard because there's a lot of money in the market, but man, if you want to talk investments, Tim, we can have that conversation. So they will bring it up as long as they know you're in real estate. You don't have to shove it down their throat. It doesn't have to be a sales call. It can be a care call. How is life? How are things going? And in the natural cadence of that conversation, after I'm done asking you about your life and you're done telling me, the only natural thing, unless you're in a hurry or socially awkward, is you're going to ask me about my life and my family and what's going on with me. And of course, the first thing I'm going to say is, oh my gosh, man, real estate's been crazy, been so busy, been working a lot, been with the kids. And as soon as I drop that little hint, it's over. They're going to talk to me. Open houses, my goodness. Look, I know houses are selling so quickly, and a lot of times we're saying we don't even have the opportunity to do them. There are people in this office right now killing it with open houses. Folks, the market is moving so quickly, and buyers understand that, and they're rushing out to see these homes without their agents or without agents in general. Go take advantage of that. Go meet some people. You've got like the best bait in the world to go fishing here. Go do an open house. If you don't have an open house, if you don't have a listing, find a successful agent who does and ask them to let you do an open house for them. Store knocking. This is where I would bring treat baskets to local businesses. 10 per week, 40 per month. Put together little baskets. I've shared this with a lot of you. Man, for me, that was awesome. I used to do that when I was in sales. I'd walk into a veterinary office, a dentist office with my little basket of treats, and I would just walk in there, big old cheesy smile. Good morning, folks. My name's Adrian. I'm a realtor, and I stopped by to introduce myself. And I brought you some treats. I'd say about 98% of the population was very happy to see me. There was always those grumpy people who were like, what the heck are you doing? Get out, no soliciting. And I left my treats and got the heck out of there anyway. Strategic alliances. These are my vendor partners. For those of you that do a good amount of business today, let me ask you, do you use the same inspector? Do you try to use the same inspection companies? Do you try to use the same lenders? Do you try to use the same mold companies, the same, do you guys try to use the people that you trust? I will assume yes. I see Paul shaking his head. Yes. So the thing about that is they do business with a lot of realtors. It's inappropriate to ask Paul if he's my favorite home inspector. It's inappropriate for me to ask him to refer all of his people to me. Hey, Paul, if you ever come across anybody, man, please refer me, because I refer you everybody. However, it is appropriate for me to say, hey, Paul, I send all my buyers to you, right? Every time I get a buyer, I always try to send them over to you. And Paul says, yeah, of course, man. I really appreciate that. Awesome. Hey, man, can I get one referral a year? Can I just get one? That's all I'm asking for. I know you do business with a lot of realtors, and I know I don't want to put you in a position that'll make things awkward with other realtors. Can I get just one referral? The answer is always going to be, yeah, sure, man, I'll give you one referral. And then I got to put you in a system where I'm going to be going after you and reminding you of that commitment. Circle prospecting. If y'all are not familiar with that, we'll have another conversation, but basically it's like the purest form of telemarketing, cold calling, just calling neighborhoods around listings and asking other people if they've considered moving. Lead generation through marketing, postcards. I'm a big fan of postcard campaigns. If you guys want to get into that and you haven't done it before, let's have that conversation. There's a lot of different ways you can do that, and a lot of ways I think you can do it more effectively and get bigger bang for your buck. PCSOI, Facebook ads. I'm a big fan of Facebook ads. We have a system at KW called Command. We can run ads fairly inexpensively, $75 a week. I should get 30 to 40 leads a week off of that. PCSOI events. Look, I love throwing parties. I love doing that. But here's the thing you got to remember with that is I'm not going to invite 460 people to a party twice a year. Those are called weddings and they're ultra expensive. It's just not going to happen. So I'm going to segment the population in my database, and I'm going to invite my top tier, my A players. These are people who have actually helped me grow my business in the past. These are people who, through referrals or through actually doing business with me, have helped me grow my business. Brittany, you're a really good friend, but you've never sent me a referral. I can't invite you to my party. I'm sorry. This is for people who help me grow my business. Chip, you're a really good guy, man. Like we see each other at church, boom, high five. Chip's never helped me grow my business. Can't invite him. Can't do it. Like you, man. You're a really good dude. And as soon as you send me that first referral, I'm going to send you that invitation. But until then, you're just a really good dude who doesn't help me grow my business. So how can I invite you to this client event and spend all this money doing all these things with you, right? Y'all get that? Makes sense? All right, and then the leverage piece, man, look, I came in off the streets as a restaurant employee. And if you had told me get a business coach, I would have been like, what for? I'm not playing basketball. And I didn't understand it. And then I got into a leadership role and I've had a coach for 5 years. Shameless plug for myself. Absolutely. I run a coaching business now. But guys, it's important to have the person to talk to. I'm telling you, conversation after conversation with agents coming in, like we need that person. We need someone else looking into our business, holding us accountable. It's super, super helpful. A showing agent for my buyers, that would be a huge chunk of leverage I would pass off immediately. I don't want to be out showing, 16 houses on a Saturday. I'm a hire me a buyer's agent or a showing agent. We're going to pay a percentage and we'll do the whole thing. We can explain all that on another call if you guys want to have a different conversation. But for me, that would be super, super helpful. Contract to close. I can't stand paperwork and I have no attachment to it, no ego around it. I promise the way that they do paperwork is going to be just as good as the way I do it. So hire a service you trust and let's get to it. Hire a housekeeper, cleans and preps my food. Man, how much time would that take off? Who here would like to come home and have somebody actually make their food and cut their vegetables and do their laundry? That sounds amazing, right? Like, why wouldn't we want to do that? And then a full-time admin eventually would be my last piece, where once my business grew, I would want a person in my office helping with some of the contract stuff, but really I would want like a customer experience manager. So as we're going through the process, yes, I've got a transaction coordination service that is working on the paperwork and getting things signed and doing all those things. But I want someone that every Monday is going to call every single seller. Hey, Tim, it's Adrian from Julie's office. Hey, I just wanted to call, we're in week 3 of the transaction. Here's what's happening this week. Is there anything you need from Adrian? Is there anything or from Julie? I can have her call you. Let me know, blah, 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 whatever. End the call. It's a customer experience manager. It's somebody that's staying connected so that by virtue of them doing it, I'm staying connected. So when you're done with this experience, you understand that it was Adrian who built all this, and I'm the person that you want to do business with in the future. I'm gonna tell y'all, a lot of people have a lot going on around, I don't know if it's ego or if it's fear or what it is, but there, I hear all the time, well, my client, just go back to that myth. My clients will only work with me. No, your clients will work with people with super high standards. And that's just the long and short of it. All right. So look, we got some bonus content. What time is it? 11:55. We're going to end a little bit early. I got a couple more things I want to share with you guys here. Before I move on to this, does anybody have any questions or anything around this? Perfect. All right. So bonus content, 36 touch program. This is a concept that has been bounced around at KW for a very long time. And you hear people talk about it like we just expect everybody to know it. So I wanted to share this with you guys. This is a pretty basic, but a solid 36 touch program for your database, for the people that you work with. So once I get you in my database, and I just met Tim. Tim's a great guy. I met him at the park. We were right there with the kids. We exchanged information. Now he's in my world. What happens moving forward is critical, because if I don't do my part in keeping in touch with Tim, there's like a 99.9% chance that he's going to throw my business card away before he leaves the park. Super, super high likelihood that he's going to get rid of that card and I'm never going to hear from him again. But now he's in my world. I've got to have a system. I would start with 12 monthly auto emails. That's 1 email a month. Put them on a campaign. We use a service here called Neighborhood Nurtures or Neighborhood Data Smart Plans. And what they do is once a month, I met Tim. I know where he lives. I know his neighborhood. It's going to send out an automated email. Hey, Tim, here's what's going on in your area. There are other services I'm sure you can employ and do this, but get them on some type of an auto email that sends neighborhood data, that sends sales information automatically. This way they're getting dripped on with real estate information. If y'all have seen my YouTube channel, the first video I did was, please stop sending emails about how to get red wine out of carpet. Hey, it's time to clean your gutters. Hey, that's okay too. But look, you're a realtor. You're a professional when it comes to interpreting data and being a resource for people. The number one wealth building thing in American families is home ownership, hands down across the board. So be that resource, be that person that brings that data and brings that information to your database. So when, again, they think Adrian, they think real estate, because that's the email that they get. So from there, because I want to do two emails a month. One of them is going to be an auto email with neighborhood data. The next one's going to be I'm going to time block some time each month. I'm going to sit down for a couple hours and I'm going to craft a message to my people. What do I want to say to them? Yes, I'm still going to send it through a system that's going to blast all 400 of them at the same time. However, I get to send that message. Maybe it's November, maybe it's December 2nd. What's the message for Christmas? Hey folks, can you believe this year is over? Oh my gosh. Here's what's happening. Here's what happened. Here's what the year did. Here's where I'm at. Here's where you're at. Whatever that thing looks like. But sit down and think about, what's the message I want to communicate? I probably wouldn't put a whole lot of data and statistics in this email. I probably would try to make a little bit more of a personal connection, because I've already got the data. I've got the statistics going out on the automated one. With this one, I want to think about, what do I want them to hear from me this month? Then I've got 4 quarterly calls or texts. I'm okay with texts, but I'm going to tell you, if you're not at least making 1 call a year, you're not connecting properly. At least once a year, I want to pick up the phone. Hey, Chip. Hey, Paul, how's it going, man? How's the family? This time of year is perfect to do that. It's the holidays. Hey, man, I was thinking about you, man. How's the family? Are the kids enjoying all the festivities? Did y'all see what went on at the Mall of Georgia the other day? Blah, 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 whatever. I'm going to tell you too, I might do a little Facebook stalking before I call you. I may do a little Facebook stalking. I may want to know what you've been up to. If we're Facebook friends, there's a really good chance you're putting your business out there on Facebook. So I'm going to call you and go, Brittany, how's everything going? How's your son? I saw he was in that little Christmas play. He was a little Santa Claus. How cool was that? You know, I don't know what that is in your world, but I might do a little bit of that. It gives me at least a topic for the call. I was just thinking about just driving by the neighborhood the other day. How are y'all loving the house? I know you've been there a few years already. Everything's still great. You guys loving the neighborhood? Whatever that looks like, I think you got to make the call. If you're going to do the text, I'm okay with that. But the call has to happen, guys, once a year at very, very minimum. And then every time I have a text conversation or a phone conversation with these people, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write them a handwritten note. I'm going to tell y'all, don't put a business card in there. That's not what this handwritten note's about. They already know you're in real estate. In fact, if you really want them to know you're in real estate, get some custom handwritten, like little thank you, hello cards made, and put your little logo on the back somewhere kind of discreetly, so that at least it kind of has some stuff about your real estate business. But I would not drop a business card in there. I used to drop business cards in there, and I had some conversations with some top producers, and I've come to the other side. I agree. We just had a great call. I'm going to send you a card that says, hey, Tim, really great catching up with you. So happy to hear things are going well. Let me know if there's ever anything I can do for you. Whatever that looks like. Doesn't have to be super intense, but everybody likes receiving that little note. I've been on the receiving end of those notes over the years, and it's really nice when somebody thought about you and sat down and had that, did that for you. And then finally, I would do at least, and of course, folks, let me tell you something. These are minimums, right? When we're talking about a lot of this stuff, these are minimums. 4 mail pieces a year. Birthday card, home purchase anniversary card, just saying hello card, whatever that is, this is on top of your handwritten notes. So you're doing the 4 handwritten notes, and now I'm sending 4 other mail pieces. It can be a happy Father's Day card if they're dads. It can be a happy 4th of July card with a flag on it. I don't care what it is, but something else has to show up. So now 8 times a year, when you go to your mailbox, you're going to find something in there from me. 4 times a year, we're going to have either a text or a phone conversation. 24 times a year, you're going to open your inbox on your email and you're going to see my name up there. Now, the thing about the emails, you get about a 25 to 30% open rate on average. and that's okay. They still saw my name and they saw the subject line. On those hand typed, like the thought out emails, I would probably want my subject line to communicate as much of my message as possible, because I understand that 75% won't even bother to open the email, and they're just going to get whatever they get out of that subject line. They're going to move on. But again, I'm building familiarity here. I'm building a system where when real estate comes up in their subconscious, I'm floating around back there pretty heavily. Do y'all have any questions or comments? Anything you want to dive into on this piece? All right, let's move on. We've got just a couple more things here. So this is my Touch Plus system. Add 2 pop buys a year. Again, top tier people in my database, my A players, my past clients, my sphere of influence. This time of year, we've got agents who will go to Home Depot and buy out, 75 poinsettias, load them on the truck and drive to 75 of their top people in their database, drop them off with a little note on their front porch, take a picture of it, ring the doorbell, send a text message that says, "Hey, Tim, I stopped by, dropped off a poinsettia, have a happy holiday," and move on. We've got others that will make up little goodie bags for Christmas and will put a handwritten note on each and every one, and they will go knock on doors and they will hope that you answer the door so they can stand there and talk to you for 15 minutes. I don't care how you do it. A pop by is still really nice that somebody made the effort to drive to my house and drop off a bag of goodies or something because they were thinking of me. And then there's the client appreciation invitations every year. Again, top tier players. I'm not throwing a wedding here for $50,000. Here's what I'm gonna tell you about this. The client appreciations have so much incredible value because it's not even just the people who show up. We all want to be wanted, right? We all want to know that people want us places. It's nice to be invited. It's nice that somebody thinks enough about us that they put in some effort to send an invitation. And when I'm throwing a little client event and I'm sending you first and foremost an email that says, "Hey, save the date, something cool's coming," and then I send you a little invitation in the mail that's like the actual physical invitation, and then I'm sending you another email that says, "Hey, I want to make sure you got the invitation in your mail. Here's the details of the event," and then I'm calling you before the event, whether you registered or not. If you registered, I'm calling to thank you for registering and telling you I'm so excited to see you next week. If you didn't register, I'm calling to make sure you saw everything. "Oh, you can't make it. Oh my gosh, we're going to miss you. We're so sorry." Folks, I've now made 4 really strong touches to top tier database people without even throwing the party yet. Then I get to the party, and of course, the people who show up, that's touch number 5. We have a great time, yahoo, woohoo. Then after the party, whether or not you showed up is irrelevant. I'm going to call you and text you. If you didn't show up, it's, "Oh my gosh, Tim, we missed you. Man, that was such a great party. We're so sorry you couldn't make it. We really hope you make the next one." I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. It's a phenomenon that I've seen with these type of parties, and I've seen it with top producers in our office. When we throw an event for top producers, and it's by invitation only. So I'll send out invitations, and then for whatever reason, some of these top producers can't make it to this event. They will go onto that post, because we always post pictures of it. And we always, "Hey, what a great time we had celebrating our top performers." The ones who aren't in the photo will go to the post and they will comment, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry I couldn't make it. Wish I could have been there. It looks like such a great party. Definitely looking forward to the next one." They didn't do that for us. They did it because they want the world to know that they also were invited. That happens with client appreciation events too. I've seen it, where clients who couldn't make it will go on to our agent's post and say, "Oh my gosh, Brittany, I'm so sorry I missed the party. It looks like it was so much fun. Please keep us in mind for the next one." Man, we've seen agents, they've rented out entire movie theaters and done family movie nights, right? And invited people and said, "Look, we have 100 seats or however many seats are in there. And you got to reserve your spot, and there'll be popcorn and sodas." Yeah, I mean, it costs a couple $1,000s. It ain't cheap. But what a cool thing to do for your top tier in your database. So I thought that was pretty neat. I thought that was pretty cool. And then quarterly newsletters. So, people like to send newsletters through email, and that's okay too. I think that sitting down once a quarter and typing out a newsletter that has some data, some market statistics, has what's going on in the area, maybe feature a couple of local businesses in there, put together a strong newsletter that I'm going to want to actually look at, right? Feature, there was one guy that I heard talking about, he would feature a high school athlete of the quarter. So he connected with the sports programs at his local high school. And he said, this is what I want to do. And I want to feature them in this newsletter. And the cool thing about it was that the kids could use it, in their college applications, obviously, like they were featured and all this kind of stuff. But then the really cool thing is he was connecting with the parents, and the connection for the parents, if you guys are parents, who doesn't want to hear that their child is amazing? Who doesn't want to hear that they did a great job raising this person? So it was an outstanding program. And then on the back page of his newsletters, multiple pages, he would put like a Sudoku puzzle or like a crossword or something that would make sure that thing kind of hung around the house a little bit longer. He did something on the back that made it just a little bit more interesting. So I thought that was kind of cool. All right. So we ran a breakdown on the unmets. So running a proper 36 touch plus program with your Met database. So we talked about do the database too. That's 2 connections per day, 5 days a week. That is 10 connections per week. 10 connections per week is 48 weeks, 480 per year. 480 per year times 5% unmet. Oh, that should say Met conversion. That's my bad. That's 24 transactions a year. Multiply it by the same GCI, brings us at $210,000 in GCI, $875 a day. So, all right. So here's the deal, guys. I'm going to encourage you. I have all of your contact info. Actually, I don't know who the anonymous people all are, but for those of you that I do recognize, we will be in contact. I would love to see your business plan before the end of this year. I know that things have slowed down dramatically for the holidays for many of us. And I know that we can take a few hours to be super purposeful, have some clarity around what we want next year to look like. Some of y'all want to make 100,000, 125, 300,000, 200,000. I mean, these are not small goals. These goals definitely propel us to the top of the pile financially in the areas that we live in. And I wish that for all of you. I really, really do. So if you guys want to talk more about this or have any questions or anything, you know where to reach me. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and end it. Hope you guys got some value out of this.
Good. Thanks. Thanks, Adrian.
Perfect.
Thank you, Adrian.
All right, guys. Have a great day. If I don't see you, have a great, great holiday season as well. Take care.
All right. Take care.